Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham. Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat C, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, and from the Israel Sports Radio studios in Jerusalem, Israel, our nation's capital, it's Louis Live. Dash House, me, and Raphael Geller. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good start to the week. It's Monday here in the Holy Land, 6 o'clock local time, 11 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. We have a great show in store. And in a few minutes, we're going to have a gentleman from the Fischler Report. That, of course, is Stan Fischler's company, if you will. He does reporting on the NHL. We had Stan Fischler on, actually, on the program a few months ago. And we're going to discuss free agent moves, potentially what will happen with the Kings. Jonathan Quick led them to a Stanley Cup championship. Can they do it again? They were the 8th seed last time out, and they were able to be victorious in the Cup Finals. And, of course, what's going to happen with my Coyotes? They have a bit of a cash crunch right now, and we'll see if they're going to be able to get everything together in time. Right now, the Coyotes, just so you know, are owned by the NHL. And there are bidders to try to buy the team. That's certainly a key element because whenever a team is owned by the NHL, trades have to be approved by 29 other teams. So the fact that the general manager of the Coyotes was able to get so much done and was able to take the team to the Western Conference Finals was truly incredible. So we'll see if they can actually get a proper owner or ownership group. If that's the case, then they will be able to make trades a lot more easily and sign free agents a lot more quicker as well. Shane Doan, who is the Coyotes legend in Phoenix, re-signed, but the re-signing was based on the security of the team and its finances. Now, here's the latest on the Coyotes at this point. Again, we'll find out more when we have our guest on in a few minutes. But apparently, Greg Jameson, who is a former president and CEO of the San Jose Sharks, back in 2002, he swooped in with a bunch of investors and saved them from hemorrhaging money and made them a successful franchise. And now, Jameson is taking part in the Coyotes, and he's trying to get interested parties involved. So it's a very good sign for us Phoenix fans out there. Now, basically it all seemed, let me just read this report from Yahoo, it all seemed very strange from the start. Jameson is the face of a rather shadowy group of which 0 members have been unveiled, nor were there or his money is coming from. And don't worry, though, during the Coyotes' run to the Western Conference Final, we were told this wasn't because they didn't want to overshadow the team's somewhat surprising postseason success. And yet here we are in early August with the Coyotes' Western Conference Final opponents have lifted the Stanley Cup. And we still don't know. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll dial up our first guest. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. And I want to remind everyone to check out our store as well by clicking on the store tab.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham. Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain Seat C, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
All right, back here on Louis Live, and joining the studio now is Raphael Geller. Hey, Raphael, how you doing?
What's up, Ari Louis?
It's
long day for you.
Yeah, but it was a fun day. Did a little construction. It was good stuff. Really enjoyed it. And now we're going to dial up our first guest of the evening. As I mentioned earlier, he's the editor-in-chief of the Fischler Report.
Jordan Shum.
Yeah, Jordan Shum. And as I mentioned to you before, of course, we had Stanley Fischler on, and he is in charge of the Fischler Report, hence it bears his name. So we'll get into a lot of hockey discussion and hockey talk, and that'll be a good time here in the program. And again, I want to remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, and much more. Hi, am I speaking with Jordan Shum?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi, Jordan. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
Pretty good. Pretty warm here. How are you?
It's a bit warm as well. The August month of summer is certainly a boiling one. But I want to talk about the cool ice of the NHL. A lot to discuss. Of course, you're the editor-in-chief of the Fischler Report, so you certainly have the inside scoop. And I want to know, I am from Phoenix, Arizona, and I have to know, what is the latest with the Phoenix Coyotes?
Well, it's an interesting question. Right now, with apparently Greg Jameson, who is a part of the new brokerage that's going to buy the Phoenix Coyotes, they're going through a little up and down because apparently he went to the courts, and the Phoenix, the council of Phoenix doesn't truly want the stadium here unless they get the money that they need back, right? And so Greg Jameson came up short about $20 million or so this past week. So right now he's going back to the drawing board. He's trying to get some more money, and with that same decision also rests the decision of the captain, Shane Doan. Obviously, he's been around. He's been shopping he's visited the Rangers. He's visited the Philly Flyers, Vancouver. But he's made it clear that he wants to stay in the desert. So hopefully both of those things get filed up soon. And we here at Fisher Report believe that Jameson will. We think that he's going to stay in Phoenix. Shane Doan will stay there, and the team will stay there eventually.
Now, that's truly incredible because it looked like at the beginning of last season that they were on their way out, just a matter of time. And we had Dave Kane, who's the assistant coach of the Coyotes, on the program back in December, and he said that if the team did leave, that he would not join the team because he enjoys Phoenix so much. What was the reason why this new group of potential financiers joined up all of a sudden? I mean, where were they? They've been talking for years about the Coyotes leaving. Why all of a sudden did Jameson and company step up and try to make this happen, have the Coyotes stay in Phoenix?
It's a good question. A lot of people around the league in the know are asking the same question. It's a similar situation to that of what's going on in Long Island with the ownership group. And fortunately for the Coyotes, they did step up. I mean, it was a little late. No one truly knows why, but apparently the guys including Jameson, are longtime Phoenix fans, and they wanted to see if somebody else would step up before they had to put in their own 2 cents. In the game of hockey, the revenues are, revenue sharing, especially with this situation, is big. And so Jameson and his group weren't positive about coming in and taking over a team that maybe wouldn't have been that it did as well this year in the playoffs. Also, that was a huge reason. They sold out every playoff game and went into pretty deep in the playoffs. So when that happened, the group rose up and decided to throw some big money to keep the team in the desert.
All right, our last question, at least for this segment about the Coyotes. Shane Doan signed an interesting contract. Now, he's a legend down in the desert. He's been with them since the mid-'90s, but the signature of the contract was conditional. Correct me if I'm wrong. What were the conditions about Shane Doan signing with the Coyotes?
Well, only Shane Doan and his agent will know exactly what they are. However, what we do know is that he made it clear before he went out on looking for, another team to play for. He made it clear to the Maloney, the general manager of the team, that he wanted to stay in Phoenix. His family was in Phoenix, and for him to remain in Phoenix, he wanted stable ownership. He wanted for the team to not go bankrupt with his contract or any other big free agent contract. He wanted him made a captain. He had a no trade clause if he was going to stay with the Coyotes, because in his mind he wants to stay there and retire as a Coyote. The only reason why he's even looking around is because, of course, he wants to win a cup, which he never has. Which is why he's looking at certain teams like the Flyers, the Rangers, the Penguins, Vancouver Canucks, teams that are a lot closer, you would think, than the Coyotes making it.
Okay, because that certainly makes sense. Shane Doan, by the way, in my opinion, has had a Hall of Fame career. But this is the one thing glared from his resume is not having Lord Stanley's Cup, not being able to hoist it. Now, let's talk about the CBA agreement. There is not an agreement as of yet. There's labor negotiations going on with the NHL on both sides. What's the status right now regarding the labor negotiations?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'll be heading to the NHL offices in New York City in a few hours. Basically what's happening is that the NHL obviously threw out a really tough first punch to the NHLPA, the Players Association. They said basically, we want to lower, players' salaries. We want to increase ownership. We want to, they did a lot of things that there's a first punch, so to speak, so players didn't freak out. Now, however, the past week when players have been meeting with them and actually giving their counter proposals to the NHL, it's been a lot fishier because, as you know, last week, a player on the LA Kings by the name of Kevin Westgarth came out to reporters after and said, I do think a lockout is foreseeable, what she was quoted as saying. Now, of course, the lockout, there is a big possibility, but people in the know tend to believe that with the NHL, their Winter Classic, which is, the big outdoor game every year, that they would never want to miss out on that because it brings in hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue from TV contracts and ticket sales and merchandise. They would not want to, put that in jeopardy. So the feel around the league is that there could be a lockout, but it's not going to be into the month of October. Maybe you'll miss preseason games, but right now that's where it's at.
Okay, and that would certainly be disastrous if there's a loss of a season, because I still don't believe the NHL is fully recovered from the lockout of 04-05. I mean, I'm a guy that likes to study champions and remember which year they won them, and I always get confused. I know that the Lightning won in 04, and then after that I forget. It's fuzzy in my mind because of that lockout. This would be the third one in 2 decades. Would that put a slight into Gary Bettman's legacy? I mean, that's a bad way to phrase it. It would obviously put a slight, but I thought Gary Bettman's been one of the better commissioners in sports, but to have 3 work stoppages in 20 years, I think wouldn't speak well of him. So talk about Gary Bettman's role in all of this.
Well, Gary has had a very interesting past, because people might not know this, but Gary Bettman actually started out his career working alongside the NBA commissioner, David Stern. They were, Gary Bettman was a lawyer with David Stern in the NBA. So basically, he learned from the best on how to be a shark. Gary Bettman clearly is one of the, I happen to agree with you, actually. I think he's a tremendous commissioner. However, when you look at it like from the CBA standpoint, his legacy, hockey fans don't take such an onus on the legacy. They just want their hockey, and no matter how it happens or how they get a deal done, that's all they want to do. So if Bettman steps up and they don't miss any serious amount of time, I don't think his popularity will go up or down. Everyone does realize that it is a business. He's acting a little greedy right now, trying to roll back players' salaries after rolling them back in 04-05. That's upsetting a lot of agents and a lot of players around the league. But the truth is that he does want hockey to excel. And the revenue for the NHL has been up in the past, I think it was the past 3 or 4 years, every year. To this year, it's almost at $2.5 billion. So he has done a tremendous job with this league. And I don't think that fans that really do understand him would really dislike him. It's just the ones that really can't understand why he's not, they're not making a deal right now. Why there's even a threat of a lockout.
Okay. So certainly we'll keep an eye on that. Hope there's not another work stoppage in the NHL. It is obviously a tremendous sport. It provides so much jobs in the United States economy. The economy the way it is now can't afford to lose any more jobs, period. Let's talk about the big pickup of Rick Nash to the Rangers. Of course, you're in New York City. This is truly incredible how the Rangers pulled this off. They went to the conference finals last year, add Rick Nash, and don't really give up that much for him, so their core stays intact. Tell us how the Rangers were able to pull this off.
Well, I am a Ranger fan. I do work on I have to work objectively, of course, through writing. But in my regular life, I'm a huge Ranger fan, and I could not believe this as a writer or as a fan. GM of Columbus, Scott Howson, he got offered the exact deal that made this deal happen in March, and he turned it down. He turned this deal down because he was positive, he was 100% sure that once the Stanley Cup was over and teams really were able to evaluate themselves and had more money at the end of the season, other teams would be coming out of the woodwork throwing amazing deals at Howson for Rick Nash. Now, the Rangers, after a couple months, were the only team left in the hunt for Nash because they were able to give up the most pieces. Now, I was told from a source that the deal breaker for this to be actually made was Tim Erickson from the Rangers, the young defenseman. He included with Dubinsky and Isamov was really the catalyst to make it go down. And it's considered a steal. I mean, the GM of the Rangers, Glenn Sather, is also the president of the team, really made a steal of the trade. I mean, Rick Nash, the perennial all-star, he's averaged 34 goals every season. His output alone almost could double Dubinsky and Isamov and Erickson's point production. It's a win-win, and also the Rangers' salary didn't even budge. They actually made, I believe, it was $100,000 on this deal.
Wow!
So it was a big win.
Yeah, it was certainly a big win for the Rangers. Now, let me ask you this: they took the Devils to 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. Are they now the favorites to win the whole thing with Nash on the squad?
It's interesting. It's interesting you asked that question because yesterday, we follow Las Vegas pretty closely, and obviously Las Vegas, the betting capital of America. They came out with their regular season odds, if you will, yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was. Pittsburgh, the favorite for the entire league to win the championship. Obviously, with a healthy Sidney Crosby, they are and as good as everybody else. The Rangers are the second team. Pittsburgh came in as 8-1 favorites. The Rangers are 9-1. Last year, it was very clear the Rangers didn't win because they lacked offense. They couldn't score enough goals, and the defense is really beaten up because they played a lot. They played a lot of overtime games and long games. The Devils series was a tough one to lose, but obviously with Rick Nash on the team now, they also brought in a lot of key role players. Even one of your guys, Tom Hyatt from the Desert, from the Phoenix Coyotes, brought them in. So it's a big different team this year. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, and they can score more goals. So the feeling around here is that, yes, they should be exactly where they were last year in the finals, pushing for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and certainly, so much talk last season was this is so similar to 1994, and I just felt they ran out of gas. The first 2 rounds went 7 games. The series of the Devils went 6, and as you mentioned, not enough scoring. They had to play some overtime games as well, so I think it just taxed too much, and at the end of the day, weren't able to get it done. Let's talk about now the Raffi Torres suspension. Interesting story. They're going to take a step of altering this. Raffi Torres was suspended for 21 games, and then there is an appeal. It goes from 21. It goes from 25 to 21. What was the reason why 4 games were given back?
It's a good question. The reason why the games are given back to him is obviously no one knows the exact reason, but the reason that they told, the press and that they had a release was that he was a remorseful player, that he didn't intend to seriously injure. There was a difference between, intent to injure and intent to, seriously injure. There's a little difference there. Raffi Torres that hit he had in the playoffs was a bad hit. Don't get me wrong. There's no mistake. A lot of management people and players were disgusted by that hit. But at the same time, 25 games is also, it's almost, it's a lot of games. And obviously in the NHL, when you're suspended for a game, you lose out on your paycheck for that game. NHL players, especially like grinders and 4th or 3rd line guys like a Raffi Torres, who's been disciplined more than once, need every cent they can hold on to. So I believe that he did, he was sorry. He did come out and he did apologize, to the player himself who he hit. I'm not sure who it was, but he did apologize to that player, apologize to Bedman. They made a deal. He makes a little bit more money, but he's still, 21 games is 21 games. 4-game difference is really a monetary and save face kind of thing.
Okay, now is this unprecedented in the NHL? We do hear times in the NBA, Major League Baseball, that there's an appeal and that the suspensions are lowered. I don't recall this happening too often in the NHL. Tell us, how often does it happen?
It actually doesn't happen very often. That's a good point. The NHL, it's known, this year it got a lot of flack, got a lot of heat because Shanahan, they made a lot of people made fun of him that Shanahan was running around with his what do you call it? His badge, police badge. Obviously, Brendan Shanahan, the president of safety, player safety for the NHL, he makes all the decisions, and he comes out with a videotape every year of every suspension. Now, it's a lot different from other sports because once other sports come down with the hammer, it's done. That is it. In hockey, it's very rare for a player to win. Even a 4-game reduction is still a win for the player. Obviously, right now in the NFL, Bountygate and New Orleans Saints, they have their head coach was suspended a year. One of the star players was suspended, 8 games. That's a lot of money and a lot of games in the NFL. So it doesn't translate as well to the NHL, but players that have been suspended usually don't get, the reduced fines. But in this case, he got lucky and he played the cards right.
We're speaking with Jordan Shom, editor-in-chief of the Fischler Report. A few minutes with Jordan before we let him go. Let's talk about the Predators signing of Shea Weber, 14 years, $110 million. That's one of the biggest contracts in NHL history. Was the feeling when Shea was potentially thinking about the Flyers, he actually signed a deal as a restricted free agent, and the Predators had to match the offer, did Shea use the Flyers as a way to negotiate with the Predators to force the Predators' hand, or was Shea, at the end of the day, really interested in playing for Philadelphia?
It's a good question. You can almost say yes to both of those questions because, yes, he did use the Philadelphia Flyers. He used the knowledge that they really needed him. He used that to his advantage, as any smart player and agent would use that to his advantage. He was able to get a max contract for a ludicrous number, and he knew he was either going to be going to a Stanley Cup contender, and obviously, don't get me wrong, Shea Weber on the Flyers makes them a completely different team. They are an amazing team, and if they had him, they would have put him over the top, obviously. However, Nashville, he also knew in the back of his mind that it's a win-win. He's either going to the Flyers as a Stanley Cup contender, a rich guy, or he's going to stay where he's raised his kids and has his wife. He's going to stay where his family is in Nashville and become a really rich man and still be on a competitive team, with a good coach and Barry Trotz. So for Shea Weber, it was a win-win situation. I don't think that when it came down to it, he was upset that Nashville Nash. I don't think that, he would have been upset if he went to Philly. I think either way, he was prepared to either go play for a contender or to be, he's still competitive, but get to remain at home where, he raised some of his kids and made a big life. He's only played there his whole career, so how that worked out.
Yeah, either way, it worked out well for him, and the end will be with Nashville. Now, let's talk about Vancouver. A couple years ago, they were in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Bruins, lost that heartbreaking series to Tim Thomas and company in 7 games, and now they're pretty active in the trade market. Basically, they've signed Andrew Ebbett, Steve Pinizzotto, and Aaron Volpati. But what else are they trying to do? I mean, they tasted Stanley Cup glory as far as getting to the finals. Is the goal of management to get back there, and what are they really realistically doing to try to get to that accomplishment and that goal?
Okay, a few things here. It's an interesting thing because with Vancouver, a lot of people don't even realize this, but the last 2 years, they have won the President's Trophy because they have been the best team in the regular season for 2 years in a row. So they have, it's clear that they have enough talent to get there, but really what they're lacking in the end is goaltending. Anyone will tell you that is in the know with hockey that Roberto Luongo, is a big choke artist. He's never really held his own for an entire season for any team he's ever been on to win a cup. So right now, what's going on in Vancouver, they signed their backup goalie. Well, they're their 1A, 1B goalie, Corey Schneider, to the long-term deal. They believe that Corey Schneider is going to be their starting guy. Right now, the Canucks brass are looking to ship Luongo to a team to get a few pieces. They want one more forward, to play with the Steams. They want one more guy up front and possibly a depth defenseman. Now, the problem with getting stuff in return is that Luongo, because he already made his bed, so to speak. He has a reputation around the NHL for being a choke artist. So a lot of teams, such as Florida Panthers, who are very interested in him, they're reluctant to give up the pieces that Vancouver wants in return. So it's a kind of a mixed situation. I believe that Luongo will get dealt before the season begins because a team will come out that'll need him. And obviously Vancouver is only a few pieces and good goaltending away from really, obviously you said that they went to 7 games with the Bruins. You can't really get much closer. But I think that a few more pieces and Luongo out of town will solidify their chances of coming out of the West at least at top of number 1.
All right. Well, great stuff. We'll certainly keep an eye on where the Vancouver Canucks go, as well as other teams in the NHL. Jordan, it was a pleasure having you on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com, and we'll have to do it again in the future soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun for me, and glad to talk hockey in my home country. So that's good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Jordan. Be well out there.
All right, be good.
All right, that was Jordan Schoem, the editor-in-chief of the Official Report here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. We're now going to take a break, and we have a special guest on the other side, which Raphael will tell us about.
Yeah, we have Kabin and An, who has joined. It's actually very exciting. I'll leave it for after the commercial, but he's joined a new magazine, and there's a lot of high expectations for this magazine, so we'll ask him about it when we come back.
Okay, this is Louis live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts. Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat C, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya Israeli professional basketball team as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Our thanks to Jordan Shom, Editor-in-Chief Official Report. We're now going to dial up Cub Bunin. Cub Bunin has formerly been a part of ESPN Denver. He is now with a new group, but we'll ask him about that. He's still with Slam Magazine. So we're going to talk to him about some NBA free agent trades and other things going on in the wild world of sports. I want to also remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab. Again, you get free T-shirts. We have T-shirts for sale, hats, and much, much more. Hi, am I speaking with Cub?
This is him.
Hi, Cub. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
I'm doing great. How are things?
It's doing great, and it's a pleasure to have on right now from Slam Magazine and TD. That is your new affiliation. Tell us a bit about TD.
Well, again, I mean, the editors of Slam Magazine over the course of the years, they've always tried to branch off and do a few things. About 10 years ago, the guys started Striker Magazine, a soccer magazine that was around for a couple of years. So this has been an attempt from the guys at Slam to kind of put forth a football magazine. And TD, the print magazine, will be out in a couple of weeks, and TDDaily.com, the weekly website, the daily website, will be up in about 2 weeks as well. August 15th, that should be launching. So it's basically a new football magazine, high school, college, pro, launched by the editors of Slam Magazine.
What we're going to do, sorry about that. What we're going to do now is I want to talk some NBA free agent moves with you. Of course, Steve Nash, who is with my Suns, now with the Los Angeles Lakers. He did that partly so he could be close with his children. And 38 years old, but people forget, or they may forget, he was second in assists in the NBA last season to Rajon Rondo. Where does this move put the Lakers? I don't know if they're better than OKC. I feel, though, they are probably better than the Mavericks, probably better than the Clippers. You're going to have Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, and at this point, Paul Gasol, unless if he's traded, on the same ball club. So where are the Lakers at this point?
I think, for the short term, it really puts them right up there next to OKC. I think we all can assume that OKC should be the class of the West for the next 5-10 years. But with this move, again, this is a move that puts them in a position where, again, they just lacked a floor general over the last couple of years. Again, the Lakers have just kind of fallen flat in the last couple of seasons, and having someone that could push the tempo like Nash can, I think it's really going to allow them to open up the court a little bit, because they've been a bit of a half-court plotting team over the last couple of years. And again, in the West, I think it does. I do think it pushes them over, a lot of the other teams in the Western Conference, kind of that middle of the pack, and puts them right up there. Where, again, if I'm Oklahoma City, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this isn't such a foregone conclusion that we're going to be in the finals every year, because with this move, Kobe, Nash, Gasol, you mentioned, this is a team that's going to be loathed, for the short term. Again, long term, this Lakers team, I think, is going to be in trouble in a couple of years as far as their roster. But for the short term, this is a great move for them. And again, having someone who's a steadying influence like Nash, he's played a lot of postseason games. I think he's going to be great to play alongside Kobe. I think there was that initial worry is, who's going to hold who's going to dominate the ball with Kobe and Nash both requiring the ball. But I think we're really going to see some of these guys that have never really played with a true point guard really flourish with Nash in the lineup.
Yeah, and the thing is about long-term, Kobe Bryant, apparently, of course, you don't know with an athlete's word regarding retirement. It's not really worth the paper it's printed on or the words that come out of the mouth. But Kobe Bryant seems to indicate he's only going to be around for 2 more years. Nash at 38 signed, I believe, a 2-year contract, so that would fit. And in the next 2 years, they could win one more title. Kobe could get to 6 at the end of the day. But it'd be fascinating because Kobe's never played with a true point guard. No disrespect to Smush Parker. And even Derek Fisher still no Steve Nash. So I'm curious what Kobe can do now that he has a true point guard. Let's talk about a move that didn't happen. That's Dwight Howard. It looked like he was all set to go to the Brooklyn Nets, that 3-team trade involving the Magic, Nets, and the Cavs. That fell through, and we're now kind of stuck. I know he's been a bit of a diva about stating that he wanted to go with the Nets and not giving a lot of room to the Magic. At the end of the day, where do you think Howard goes to? And if he goes anywhere, does it have to be before the season starts?
This has been a weekly soap opera over here. I've been asked this question so many times, and it depends on the week. It depends on the rumors. Again, I think he's been a little bit out in front of this thing, similar to the way Carmelo Anthony handles his free agency, which was great. Again, I am Denver-based, and I think kind of lost in all the hatred that people on here have for Carmelo is the fact that he gave the team a future by making his wishes public and allowing the Nuggets front office to go out and actually get something in compensation for him. The Nuggets are still a legitimate franchise. Again, you talk to guys in Cleveland, the guys in Toronto. Again, they got nothing for what they lost. When Bosh and LeBron left. So. Again, I think this is something that, it's going to be a day-to-day proposition. I think if something happens now, at this point, I think it's going to be midway through the season. I think, you're going to see Orlando get to that point where it's just too hard to deal with him on a night-in, night-out basis. He's going to get a lot of negative backlash from the fans in Orlando, and he already is at some level. But, again, back to Carmelo, using that as an example, he was really supported here, actually, throughout it. There was definitely some venom towards him, but he played such good basketball in those first couple of months of that season that, that his eventual move to New York, again, was greeted with some positivity because he was able to, keep the franchise a little, afloat, and they were able to get some really good pieces for him. So where Howard ends, he's been in L.A. a lot lately. He was at Dodger games. He's been seen here and there. The Lakers move has always been brought up, Bynum, potential to the Clippers. So again, I'm throwing up my hands in a bit saying, at this point, who knows? But if something's going to happen, I'm going to guess it's going to be, midway through the season.
Okay, so, and this trade has been talked about now for a few seasons, so it'd be interesting if it actually does happen, or the Magic simply hold him hostage because of his diva antics and then let him walk away and get nothing. And the Magic have had some great players in the past 20 years, Shaquille O'Neal, Tracy McGrady, Penny Hardaway, and now Dwight Howard, and we'll see if they don't have the same happen when Shaq was there for 4 years and then left to Lakers where the Magic got nothing. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, as I mentioned. With Dwight Howard, they don't have him, at least at this point, but they do bring back Deron Williams, and they do have Joe Johnson, that trade with Atlanta involving R. Jordan Farmer, and I call him R. Jordan because he played with Maccabi Tel Aviv for those few months. Joe Johnson, that contract is still a big contract, but did you think the Nets had to make some type of big splash because they're making that move to Brooklyn?
Yeah, again, I mean, yeah. Like, I think for the health of that franchise and the league, and the league really wants to see the Nets franchise do well, moving into the New York City area. Not, obviously they weren't far from just across the river in New Jersey, but, again, I mean, they made some moves they had to make. I mean, obviously they're out front trying to get Dwight Howard, but signing Joe Johnson, and again, contracts in the NBA, despite what happened last summer, despite the CBA, despite the lockout where we thought it was going to end all these crazy, ridiculous contracts, that's obviously not happening. Again, for the Nets to go out and sign Joe Wallace to some big money, sign Joe Johnson, I think they give them some pieces on the wing that they lack. They had Darren Williams in the backcourt. They had Brook Lopez up front. They had some pieces physically, Derek Favors as well. But again, I mean, what they really lacked kind of that scoring punch on the wing. So getting a guy like Wallace and getting a guy like Joe Johnson, I think is a really good move for them. I think it's going to make them a legitimate contender to not only contend in the Atlantic Division, but to be a player in the East. I don't see them ultimately threatening, the Bostons, the Miamis, the Chicagos of the world. Maybe I shouldn't say Chicago's next year because they're going to be without D. Rose for a while. But again, I think it's a great move by them. They're moving into the new building. They're moving into Brooklyn. They have new uniforms, new jerseys and hats and all the other merchandise that goes with that. So making a couple nice signings on the wing maybe didn't blow everyone away and say, oh my gosh, but at the same time, what they needed, what they lacked, they really got with these two signings.
All right, and let's talk about another move, not the biggest move out there, but still an interesting one. Ray Allen, who won the title with the Celtics, made another appearance with them in the NBA Finals, and now goes to the Miami Heat. I think partly as a revenge move because the Celtics shopped him several times, including almost making that trade to the Grizzlies for O.J. Mayo that was very, very close to getting done. Now he's with the Heat. How much can Ray Allen really give? How much does he have left in the tank? He wasn't starting towards the end of his tenure with the Celtics. Now with the Heat, who just won the NBA title, maybe they don't need that much from him anyway, but what do you expect Ray Allen's role to be with the Miami Heat?
Well, again, I mean, last year what the Heat lacked, what kept them from being dominant in the postseason, aside from Chris Bosh's consistent health, was just having a consistent threat from the perimeter. And we all know Ray Allen wasn't healthy last year. He wasn't able to get off the floor with the quickness he is accustomed to, and that makes him so lethal from the perimeter. His quick release, his ability to get off the floor and knock down shots. But, when Chris Bosh returned during that Boston series, the team still needed consistent perimeter threat. And they got it in spots from Shane Battier. He had a couple of really good games. And then in that final game of the finals, Mike Miller showed up and, again, knocked out a bunch of threes. This is exactly what the Heat need. If Ray Allen is able to come in healthy and stay healthy throughout the season, I think just having that breadth, stretching the floor, making those lanes wider for LeBron and Dwayne Wade to drive, because that's such a big part when Bosh wasn't there, earlier in the postseason, and when they didn't have that consistent threat from the perimeter, defenses could kind of sag in and make it a lot tougher for LeBron and D. Wade to get to the cup. When Bosh got there, he brought Garnett out of the paint a little bit more. Eddie starts hitting threes. Again, it stretches the defense. Suddenly, those lanes look really wide. And again, we all know Wade and LeBron don't need a whole lot of space to get to the rim. So I think it's a great move for them. Again, there's a bit of a proviso, with Ray Allen's health and where he's at. He's definitely going to have a few months to get healthy. So if he is healthy, I think it's a great move because that's exactly what they've lacked.
Right, and Cub, you're on right now with Raphael. And let's forget the NBA for a while and move on to the more exciting thing right now, and that would be Olympic basketball, which is going on pretty soon in about – the games now are taking a break. Earlier in the day, just to recap for our fans, Australia beat Russia. A very surprising game there. And, of course, Russia is led by Maccabi Tel Aviv head coach David Blatt. And, that was really the shocker, in my opinion, of the tournament. But at the same time, Russia already knew they were advancing, so maybe they were just resting. Lithuania beat, 0-4, 0-5 Tunisia team. They played well a couple nights ago, but they still couldn't get a W. And then France, after losing to the United States, I think has pulled off 4 victories. So, Cub, it's been a great tournament. I'm the only person in the world at Israel Sports Radio who thinks that Spain's going to beat America in the gold. But what are your thoughts?
It's been interesting at this point. I agree. Again, it's tough to kind of get this thing all filled out once we get out of pool play. And if we had the badminton officiating or the badminton officials taking care of this pool play in today's games, I think we might have some worries of teams that aren't necessarily playing to their full potential, maybe going the San Antonio Spurs route and not playing all their guys full throttle. But yeah, again, I think we've seen some great games. I mean, that game this morning between Australia and Russia was an awesome game. Patty Mills in the 3-pointer to win the game. Again, I think Australia and Russia are kind of the perfect examples of two teams you really don't know what you're going to get. They have talent, and they've been there. Again, they've played a lot of international competition, but just a little bit up and down to kind of stay with the likes of USA and of Spain. And while I may disagree with you that I think Spain is going to take down the U.S., again, I think this has been a perfect pool play for the U.S. to kind of feel out what they are and who they are, because, again, this is a group full of superstars, and they haven't played a lot together, and figuring out, we see these 2 different games, one, the one against Nigeria, where they played basically perfectly, I think, from start to finish. I mean, Kobe came out, was brilliant in the first quarter. Carmelo had his 15 minutes of absolute domination where I don't think the Nigerian teams remember that guy could shoot, especially from that international three-point line, which is basically his range, I think, in general, is the international three-point line. So, this U.S. team is having trouble defending, on the interior, which is everyone's worry coming in. They didn't have a whole lot of size. They lose Blake Griffin, so there's another defensive presence in the post. And in that game the other day against Lithuania that gave U.S. troubles, they just weren't able to really defend the cup, and Tyson Chandler didn't play a whole lot. So I think when they're at their full complement, I think the U.S. is still the team to beat. I still think, they're going to be able to get by the likes of Argentina and Spain. But again, against a team like Spain that's so loaded in the interior, the Gasol brothers or Zabaka, I still think that's the team, that really has a chance to give the U.S. the most trouble.
Right. And just watching the Lithuania game, reading the American media, everyone was shocked and surprised. And I was expecting that. I think the American team's been really cocky. I think that they don't understand the way European basketball is. And the teams they were playing before, even France. France is not known for being a team that plays fundamental European basketball. Tunisia, obviously, we don't even have to go there. And Nigeria in Western Africa. So I think they finally got to see what European basketball is like, or what good international basketball is like. And I think tonight's game will be very interesting. I think I would not be shocked if the U.S. lost. I mean, I think they will probably pull it out just because this Argentina team's kind of looked shaky throughout the tournament. But I want to ask you about another game tonight, which is at 10 p.m. here in Israel and 3 p.m. in East Coast. Brazil and Spain. Brazil, a team on the rise, very, very good lineup, a few NBA guys, Barbosa and Nene. So what do you expect from that game tonight?
Well, this is a Brazil team that has always had talent. They've just had a lot of injury issues come times of these international tournaments, whether it was the previous Olympics, like different world championships as well. They're all kind of healthy right now. I think this is a really interesting front court battle because not many teams in the world match up with Spain physically. Obviously, with the Gasol brothers, with Serge Ibaka, but this Brazilian team, they have Nene, they have Thiago Splitter, they have Anderson Varejao. Right. So they have 3 quality NBA power forwards that are not going to be afraid, not going to be intimidated. I think we're going to see a really good game. I think where this game kind of thins out and leans in Spain's direction is actually just their wing play, their backcourt play. Again, Spain has so much experience. They don't necessarily have all the big major household names that everyone in America knows about. But again, there's so much quality play in the Spanish backcourt. Having Juan Carlos Navarro on the wing.
Jose Calderon.
There's a lot of talent.
Jose Calderon's one of my favorite point guards. Very underrated guy because he plays for my Raptors. No one knows much about him.
Of course.
But I'm pretty sure top 5 in NBA assists the last 4 seasons. Usually averages between 8 and 9. just because the Raptors don't, it fits this kind of style of European game. And the Raptors for a while were just a bunch of European guys, which is kind of sad because it's the NBA. But yeah,
Rafi, I mean, I think that's the difference in this game. I think this is going to be a great front court battle. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I really hope to see these guys match up at some time, in the knockout stage as well. But I think, again, the difference is Calderon. It is Navarro. So I still think Spain's going to come out on top. I think Brazil's one of the few teams in the country, in the world, maybe even more so than the United States, that can actually hang in the front court, with the Spanish team.
Yeah. So, though I'm kind of mad that Russia lost today because I was looking forward to kind of talking to you about why they've been so successful and why they were able to knock off Spain and really the upset of the tournament until Australia beat them. But why do you think what's so exciting about this Russian team? They have Karolinko, they have Khan, who played at Kansas, they have some guys who people know in America, but Timothy Mozgov, who was on the Knicks and Denver trade. But I believe was he in that trade, Cub?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes, he was. And he had a big game the other day, actually, in that, in their most recent win. But yeah, again, I think this Russian team is loaded. I mean, they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of experience. Again, not tons of household names, but when you have guys that are veterans, that have played professionally in Europe, and there's a bunch of guys on that team that have, had a cup of coffee here in the States playing in the NBA, but Mozgov's had a really good tournament. He had a solid game the other day as well. Karolinko, you know what you're going to get with him every night. His energy, he looks to be actually the old Karolinko, the old K-47 of before, where he's flying around on defense, he's filling on the wing, and he's charging them, charging down the lane. I think they're finally healthy. He appears to be finally healthy, and he'll be back in the States, obviously playing for Minnesota this year. So This is a Russian team that, it's just kind of like no big superstars, but just a lot of good quality across the way. And getting a guy like Sasha Khan, who was, he was a good college player here at Kansas, as you mentioned, and really, obviously, never really contributed on the pro level here domestically, but he's someone who's played great in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, people forget, or Americans might not know, if our Americans are listening out there, that CSKA Moscow was by far the best team in the EuroLeague this year. They lost in the finals because they gave up, I think, a 17-point game. They're up by 17 in the third quarter in an Olympiacos one, but this was by far the best team all year in the EuroLeague. I think they went undefeated in league play and pool play, rolled through the playoffs, got to this Olympiacos game, and then lost. They kind of fell apart, but they're a very good team, and a lot of players from that team are playing for the Russian team. So I think this is a very exciting tournament. I wish, though, if you think about it, some of the teams used to be better, you'd expect more from them, like Australia and China. They're not very strong this year. And same with Lithuania. If you look at if those teams were the way they were, let's say 6 years ago, I mean, this could be probably the best basketball tournament of all time. And that's a bold statement, but I mean, Lithuania is the weakest they've been in years. And China, China's not the same without, I'm blanking out on the name, obviously not Yao Ming and Yi, but they had this great player who just retired from China, who played a little bit in the NBA, but he was an amazing player. I saw him play in 2002 in Indianapolis at the World Basketball Championship. But I mean, yeah, Cub, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give medals out right now. Who do you think is going to take gold, bronze, and silver?
Well, I think the U.S. is still the favorite again. I mean, we've seen some ups and downs. I think talent-wise, they haven't adjusted to the international game quite yet, but I think that game against Lithuania might have been just what they needed to kind of sit back. Supposedly they watched a lot of film that next day. So I'm going to give the U.S. the gold, Spain the silver, and that bronze medal I think is going to come from someone a little bit outside the thing. And I'm going to lean towards Russia just because of what we've seen out of them already in this postseason. So, Robbie, I agree with you. I think 4, 5, 6 years ago, I would even throw Argentina into that. This is not the same Argentina team.
Right.
Same guys, same faces, but they're just a lot older than they were. So again, I mean, Argentina would probably be the other favorite, but I'm going to lean towards Russia just because of what we've seen last week.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I think Israel as a nation will definitely be rooting for them because, as I mentioned, David Blatt, 52 years old, I believe, top head coach in European basketball, according to a lot of guys, or at least for his age. Maybe the guy's better than him, but Olympiacos and Panathinaikos are in their sixth season, more veterans. This guy's a guy that's rumored to go to the NBA and be an NBA head coach. Has all the connections from being at Maccabi for 12 years and, having guys like Anthony Parker and, the name Carlos Arroyo, you can go on. And then, of course, coaching all these Russian guys and being very successful at it. But now let's move on to another completely different sport. We're going from NBA to Olympic hoops to Olympic soccer, which is, I think, been kind of fun. It's definitely been better in the past, especially when Messi was in the last tournament. But some interesting stars, though. Conte, who plays for Senegal, is actually a star in Israel. He plays for Maccabi Tel Aviv, one of the biggest squads here. But what has been the most interesting part for you, Cub, about the Olympic soccer tournament that's now heading into the semifinals?
Well, again, it's always different in the Olympics because you're always wondering, how many of the stars you're going to see. You're seeing just a version of the under-20 team, or you're seeing an older version. I watched quite a bit, or actually watched the entire game. Probably most interesting to me is just the way the Great Britain team has been assembled and how they've kind of put their team together, and then to watch them get beat by Korea in the quarterfinals the other day. Again, you're still seeing some of those familiar faces that only get a chance to play in this situation for Team Great Britain, like Brian Giggs, obviously a longtime Welsh winger that's played for Man U forever. So, again, it's very interesting. I think Brazil's been beautiful as always. Again, they've been great to watch. Watching Neymar, like watching some of their young talent, because it just seems to continually come. So, again, it's tough to kind of get a grasp on how this fits out in relation to the European Championships we just saw or the World Cup from 2 years ago. But, I'm really excited for the semifinals to get going. And, again, we've seen different things happen, but you still got to lean towards Brazil in this situation, I think, just because of their abundance of talent and just kind of seem to be overflowing. Now, defensively, they've been a little bit shaky at times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Goals. The likes of Honduras and, a team that has a lot of MLS players actually on it. But, again, I'm going to lean towards Brazil just because of their abundance of talent.
Yeah, I think I would, go with that as well, especially with what's left in the tournament. I like this Mexico team. I've actually watched a lot of them play when they were on the U17 team, because when I lived in Bloomington, Indiana, the U17 squad would always play against Indiana University, which used to be pretty much the best soccer university by far, and now it's not. But so I've actually seen a lot of these guys play, and I think it'll be an interesting tournament. Now moving on to some transfers going on. We've had a lot of great soccer guests the past few days from England, from America, and this whole Van Persie thing, it seems to be 99.9% done to Juventus, but there's still that 0.1% where you never, it's not 100% final. So, Cub, do you think, is he heading to Juventus? Are they just shelling out the money, or what's going to happen here? We're running out of time.
I think again, it seems like it's been a foregone conclusion that that RVP is going to be leaving Arsenal and leaving. I want to say Highbury just because I always refer to teams in their old stadiums, but. And I think it's something, with all the moves they've made to, in theory, replace him, and they brought in a bunch of new strikers, they're getting Podolski, they get Giroud from France, so that, again, they've brought in some great talent for Arsenal, and I think the move is still a foregone conclusion. It's kind of one of those things where I think those of us, that follow it very closely are to, what's the holdup here? What's the deal? It's been talked about for months now, basically since the European Championships, that it was a foregone conclusion that Van Persie would not be returning to Arsenal. And again, I just think with the way Arsenal's made moves, with the thought of replacing, the Dutch striker, I think it's still going to happen. It's going to happen probably in the next couple of weeks. The new season's starting pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the season is starting very soon. I'm very excited about it. Ari, not so much, because it'll take over the baseball spotlight at the station. But a lot of big moves being made throughout. The interesting part, though, not so much for Man City. They've been very quiet, yet there's still rumors that they're going to make one big splash. Dzeko seems to be on the way out. There's so many crazy reports. We know Balotelli is for sure staying. Tevez, again, is another. We're pretty sure he's staying. But, Man United's added some guys, or added a few guys, and Chelsea as well. What's Man City waiting for? Are they going to add people, or are they just going to say, we won the league last year, we can do it the same way this year with this team?
Yeah, I think they're kind of working under that if they ain't broke, don't fix it model. I mean, obviously, if their young talent is in place, they're under contract. I don't think they need to make major moves. And then when you see, Balotelli backs up, his fine, EPL season with just that brilliant play at the European Championships. It was kind of that performance we were all hoping for and waiting for and wondering what we were going to get out of him. And we got everything we thought from that performance at the European Championships. There was a little bit of volatility. He took some bad yellow cards. But in the end, he was scoring goals and he was doing, what he does best. So I don't think we're going to see any major moves. I think we might see, you mentioned Jekyll's probably on his way out, but I think we're just going to see some, some ancillary parts get signed, just some things to kind of stabilize the backbone of that team. But, again, having Tevez, having Balotelli, and just kind of, building off what they did last year and that exciting finish to the Premier League, I think this is still the team to beat coming forward, regardless of what Arsenal, regardless of what Man U and Chelsea do as well. And obviously, those teams are scrambling, to kind of keep up with the Joneses. In this case, it is Man City. So, again, having a young core that's kind of signed for the future, I think allows them to be pretty quiet this offseason.
Okay, we're talking right now with Cub Union from Slam Magazine and TD Magazine. Cub, I wanted to ask you, you've moved from ESPN Denver to a new radio station, or not a new radio station, but you're new to a KOA. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it and what you're doing there and what's going on there?
Well, I'm doing a bunch of different things. Again, I'm just kind of moved over from a sports-specific station, with ESPN to the largest AM station in the Denver area, KOA. They are the home of the Broncos, Rockies, and Colorado Buffaloes. So kind of get to be seen about everything I'll be doing once the other seasons get up. Doing a little news, doing a little traffic, doing a little weather, kind of doing a little bit of everything at this point. Just a new move into like a bit of a bigger radio station, I guess you could say. So it is the big AM blowtorch of the Western Hemisphere. It's kind of like, one of the biggest AM stations actually on the western part of the United States. So it's a cool move for me. It's exciting. And, again, still have great ties with the guys over at ESPN Radio. And just a new challenge, I guess you could say, in addition to, doing some work for this TD Magazine and covering the AFC West.
Right, and Mazal Tov for joining that, or congratulations, I guess. Back now to soccer. Just reading some stuff here in the newsroom that's coming in. Dzeko to Milan. Of course, AC Milan made a lot of moves this year. A lot of moves, pretty much getting rid of their two best players and getting a lot of money for it. Do you like this? Do you think Dzeko would be a good fit with Milan after Ibrahimovic leaves?
Yeah, again, I think it's going to be a different situation of the San Siro. I'm not sure how their roster is going to be so overhauled and it's going to look so different. Still should be loaded. I think Dzeko is a good fit there just because of his overall play. I think pretty much fits with anyone. Again, it's going to be a very different start to the season, I think, for that franchise. Again, we're kind of used to some of the, some of the familiar faces that have been there for a while, and that's going to all change this year. Very interesting how they kind of fall into the, into the power struggle in the, in the Italian league. But I think they're still going to come up on top, still going to be one of the top franchises. And again, I think, no, you have to make major moves and major shifts. It's always nice to kind of have a name like AC Milan that you can pull, guys from, from great teams around around the world.
Yeah. And we're now, again, just to update, sorry, this interview, Cub's been all over the place, but there's so many great stuff going on, and we want to update our listeners with everything going on. And right now, before we started this interview, the game had not started, but right now, Great Britain is playing, I believe, Great Britain is playing China right now. They're up 22-12. Great Britain's a team that pretty much was Luol Deng and Pops Mensabau, and Pops has actually just signed a contract here with Maccabi Tel Aviv, so we'll be watching that closely. But how do you think the Brits did in the tournament? Obviously, they qualified because they were the host nation. They were never going to qualify before that, but they've had some pretty impressive games. So I want to get your thoughts on the Brits.
Yeah, I think they really purported themselves well in a tournament, like you mentioned, Rafi, where they're a bit over their head playing against the likes of Spain and Russia and the U.S., and the United States. But I think Luol Deng has really made a name for himself as a leader in a sense. Again, I mean, he is the man on that team. Yeah, there's a few other parts that are nice. There's a few other NBA quality type pieces. You mentioned Potts, Joel Freeland. Some of these other guys that I think, again, I think in general, just watching the Olympics, like kudos to England, kudos to Great Britain. I think they've just really done well. Pretty much in all events. I mean, obviously the track and field they've had the last couple of days has been phenomenal the way they've performed. But again, it's always nice. I always kind of cheer for the home nation, or the host nation, just because again, these things mean so much to these places. They've spent so much time over the last couple of years getting all the infrastructure ready, building these new stadiums, building these new facilities, and then to have such success, I think, is so great for the nation because a lot of times, there's a bit of negative kind of hangover after the games leave, and these countries are stuck with all these facilities. You talk to anyone down in South Africa about how things went, hosting the World Cup a couple of years ago. I mean, They're just stuck with these massive, huge stadiums, and again, to see Great Britain do so well, and to see them, again, they're hanging. I mean, they've had a couple tough games, but they've really played well in times and really given some of these far superior teams, run for their money.
As soon as you mentioned the South African thing, the first thing that came to my mind was Qatar holding the World Cup in 2022. I just had to get that in my head. No disrespect to them, but their team is not going to be very good. It's going to be interesting to see Qatar play Spain or Germany because, I mean, that could be 8-0, but you never know because Equatorial Guinea, which is a tiny, tiny country in Africa, just hosted the African Nations Cup, and they played pretty well because they pretty much bought a lot of players from Spain and Portugal and random countries. But yeah, no, you're right. England played well. And how about England's effort or Great Britain's effort overall in all the Olympics? I think third in medals. Just they made it a very big priority to spend a lot of money, get the best coaches, and it's really paid off. So I just want to get your thoughts on Great Britain doing so well.
Yeah, again, I mean, watching just these first couple of days of the track and field events, I mean, probably spotlighting them more than anyone to see, guys, like a big, tall British guy jumping, 26 feet or whatever,
right.
the long jump gold medal, that heptathlete Jessica Ennis. I mean, she was amazing in the heptathlon. To take all of those events and to dominate the way she did, I thought that was one of those events. Watching her finish that, that 800, to basically secure the gold. I thought, again, I'm not British. I don't live there, never lived there, but it was one of those events, like one of those times where you could just hear the crowd explode. And it was just, again, I think it's great for the host nation to have success. And Great Britain, like you mentioned, this is this is a nation that's never had much success, especially in the track and field. But to see them have such, comprehensive success over the board and the third medals, as you said, I think it's great for the nation. It's just great for sports in general. I think when the host nation can not only put on a good show, have great facilities, have this great backdrop for such a massive international event, but then also to show up. And and again, they have, I think, pretty much in every manner you could, especially for a nation the size of the British Isles.
Yeah, it's been really impressive, really amazing just to see that how, if you really, really prepare yourself. I was reading an interesting story in the New York Times about the women's rowing team, and usually they don't do anything. They're not a powerhouse. They don't do, they don't medal to nothing. And this time they just worked really hard. They got really good coaching. I believe they won the gold or something. So it just shows, if you really, really work hard and you believe that you can win the gold, you can. And you can look at the Olympics all over. That's been going on. A lot of disappointments, especially for Israel. A lot of our people who were supposed to get, even a bronze couldn't even get that because they choked. I'm Israeli and I'm saying that, I'm being honest. So good for the British people. And Cub, we'll let you go with this. What are you expecting from an Arsenal squad this year? I know you kind of talked about it earlier, but what place are we going to get in? I just did an EPL preview. I didn't even put us in the top 4. It was hard for me to do, but what do you think is going to happen this year in the Emirates?
I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to my Gunners, but again, the EPL's so loaded. again, I just haven't seen enough of what they can do. They've done great in this offseason. I think a lot is still to be determined about how, Olivier Girard fits in that team, how Podolski fits out on the left wing. I mean, if he can come in and kind of become that playmaker and kind of help out Aaron Ramsey in the middle a little bit as far as, building offense, again, they're not going to have someone like, they've always looked to RVP up top, to finish. And he's been so great for club over the years. Not always great for country, but, again, I think this is still a top 3, top 4 team. I still think that they're going to be able to qualify, for the European Cup, for the Champions League. And, again, I still think it's going to look Man City, Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, those 4 teams. Tottenham had a really good season. They've had a pretty busy offseason as well, but still think Arsenal, from top to bottom is still loaded up. They have great goalkeeping. And, again, similar to hockey, when you have goalkeeping, I mean, everything else is, you can kind of overshadow some pretty sloppy or inconsistent play in the midfield by just having great goalkeeping. The defense still a little bit of an issue for me, though. And again, it's just a bit of a glaring weakness, I think, for Arsenal, and something that, again, it kind of rears its ugly head at the worst times in the biggest matches. So where they finish, again, I think it's, still going to be determined by, how these new guys fit. But I still think they're top 5.
Okay, top 5. So at least some sort of European competition. Okay, Cub.
Exactly.
I'll let Ari take it away.
Yeah, Cub, we appreciate your time here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Good luck with the new gig. We look forward to hear more about it in the future, and we look forward to having you on in the future as well.
Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it and always enjoy the time.
Thanks,
all right,
Cub.
Be
Have
well
a good
there.
day. Thanks.
All right, that was Cub Union from Slam Magazine and now TD,
and KOA. He said one of the biggest AM radio stations, home to the Broncos and Rockies in Denver. He's out of Denver. We should have asked him about the shooting. Forgot about that, to see if he knew anyone involved. Very tragic shooting in Denver. What was it, 10 days ago, a week ago? Hopefully everyone he knows was okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly tragedy there. But it was great to have him on and catch up with him. It had been a few months that he'd been on the program, so great to see that he's doing well despite the transition.
Right. It's actually an upgrade for him professionally, or a higher, gets to do more, bigger network. Sometimes when people hear ESPN, that's all they hear. They don't think, no, he actually moved to a bigger network, more opportunities. They're the home of the Broncos and the Rockies on radio, so he's going to have a lot of great opportunities, and he's a really good guy. We've had him on now probably over 10 times or something like that. He's a good friend of the show and a good guy to talk to off the show. So good luck, Cub.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to have some news on the other side. It's Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat Seat, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.NataliaHoopsForKids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com, wanted to discuss some news with you this segment, and we mentioned Kobe Bryant's playing career with Cub Union. I felt he has 2 more years left, but that's just in the NBA. Afterwards, there's a story coming out he may play in Europe. So want to read this story. Of course, he's talking about this as the U.S. team is chasing gold in London, England. And as you know, Kobe Bryant grew up in Italy. He is fluent in Italian and Spanish. He loves the sport of soccer. He talks about how he grew up in Europe, and still one of his fondest memories as a child was when Brazilian star Oscar Schmidt in Italy scored all those goals in a brilliant way. So there is definitely talk about doing that. And to give you some perspective of why this is such a big story, imagine Michael Jordan, after his retirement, still playing in Europe and bringing the NBA game to another level overseas. So this is certainly something that David Stern would like if Kobe Bryant did that. I thought that actually he was happy, David Stern, when I say he, about the lockout, because it meant more players playing overseas and showing the NBA brand in Europe. So here are some comments from Kobe Bryant. You'd have to look at the market and what's going on in terms of the level of basketball being played, Bryant said. I understand there's a high level of competitive basketball in Turkey now. They might have the best league in Europe. Spain has obviously been one of the top leagues for a long time. And Italy is a place that's dear to my heart. I grew up there, but the level is not where it used to be. When I was growing up over there, it was the best league in Europe.
Right. Definitely not the best league in Europe anymore. Just adding that.
And Bryant, as you know, during the lockout, there were talks that he was going to play with a team in China for $2 million per month. Of course, Kobe Bryant's salary is about $25 million in the NBA. So he wanted $2 million a month with China, but the CBA, the China Basketball Association, passed a rule forbidding its team to sign NBA players that already had contracts.
Or actually, also the rule was that they can, if you signed a contract with the team, you were required to stay there the whole year. You couldn't bolt for the back. NBA. So that was really. You look at guys like J.R. Smith and. I'm blanking on the name, Chandler, who played for your Suns, three-point shooter. Chandler, I'll remember in a couple minutes, but he played for the Knicks and the Suns, was known as a three-point shooter from Arizona, went to Arizona as well. They both stayed in China, and then you saw when the basketball league ended, J.R. Smith signed with the Knicks right before the playoffs.
Right, so you did see NBA players going overseas, but as far as Kobe Bryant, though, there was some talk about it. Bryant, as I mentioned, speaks Italian, and when he goes to Rome, that's the language he speaks. When he goes to Barcelona, he speaks Spanish, and Europeans certainly like that. They'll be able to communicate with the player directly, not through a translator.
Though all coaches in Europe speak English to the team anyway, so it doesn't really matter in
right, but as far as Bryant...
Communication, if he's going to the store or something, correct.
But as far as Bryant in commercials, advertisement, he could do a Nike commercial in Spanish and Italian.
He actually is the face of Turkish Airlines. It's kind of random, but yeah.
So he does have an endorsement overseas. Now, on the Team USA stop in Barcelona, Bryant and Paul Gasol shared the stage at a promotional event. Of course, Gasol and Bryant are teammates with the LA Lakers, but they're competitors in the Olympics. And they shared a promotional event at a downtown Nike store. Once they were gone, it was the bigger-than-life Bryant posters that stayed in the store windows and on the walls. Gasol is a son of Spain, but he was still Bryant's sidekick in the pre-Olympic exhibition game in the nation. So that shows you Bryant's popularity. Gasol is a native son in Spain, a champion, and plays for the Spain team, but the people of Spain still more concerned with Kobe Bryant. Now, Bryant's stature has also boomed in Asia. Now, his off-seasons include Nike tours of the Far East. Now, LeBron James, because he's the best player in the NBA, you would think might supersede Bryant as far as that, but Bryant's never lost the grip of the global community. Again, with the multiple languages and growing up in Italy as a teenager. Of course, his father, Joe Bean Bryant, played professionally in Europe, and that's why Kobe Bryant spent his teenagers or his formative years there in Europe.
Wasn't Kobe's dad the head coach in the WNBA for a little bit? I think with Sparks.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, he was Bean Bryant. Actually, Kobe's middle name is Bean Bryant. Is Bean, I believe. Is Bean.
Oh, Bean. Oh, okay.
Right. After his father is named Joe Bryant, but nickname Bean.
Interesting.
Bryant has never shown an inclination to want a part of NBA ownership. Of course, that's the way Michael Jordan has gone the route, first with the Wizards, and after that deal went south, he went out to Charlotte. And it's not working out so well for MJ. Of course,
not yet, though. Let's be positive this year. The future is bright. I'm just saying that to be positive.
You would have to be very positive. That's Tony Robbins positive.
They won't be. They can't have a season like they did last year. That was just disastrous. And they got some young players there. Kemba Walker, the former star at UConn, and they made some trades. They brought in Ramon Sessions from the Lakers. They brought in Hayward. So they made it. They'll be a completely different team next year. A new coach, Michael Dunlap from St. John's, very well respected. Yeah, but all right, I want to get your thoughts on this whole drama with Andy Reid, his son passing away. His son's been in the news multiple times for drugs, crack, cocaine, everything. I don't know if it was crack, but cocaine. Now suddenly he passed away in the training camp facility of the Eagles. Of course, they're in training camp. Very sad for Reid, who I've always respected and liked. I've always thought he was maybe a little overrated just because he's only been in one Super Bowl and lost and probably should have gotten fired, but still a very good coach in the NFL. All right, what do you think of the tragic loss of his son?
Well, what happens is when you're an NFL coach, you have to work in the offseason at least 60 hours a week. Charlie Weiss, who was an offensive coordinator for the Patriots, said while he was with the New England Patriots, he worked 60 hours a week in the offseason and 100 hours a week during the season. So head coach, you can imagine more hours than that. And when you're spending that much time in the office, that's less time you're spending with your kids. So I thought this was a situation before with Andy Reid's son with the drug situation and all the trouble he was getting into were cries for help, cries for attention,
but
cries for love.
Just playing devil's advocate, what about other coaches that have sons and kids? Why don't they do a lot of drugs and get arrested? And it was not only that. The sad part for Coach Reid is that it's not just this son who passed away. It's also his other son. His other son was involved in that trafficking with the son who passed away. He got probation.
Why don't other sons get in more trouble? I don't know, but keep in mind that this happened with Tony Dungy's son. His son committed suicide, I believe, in 2006. So you have two head coaches that have issues or had issues with their sons, and out of 32 coaches is about 8%. I don't know what the average is in the United States of problems with children to this type of magnitude, but that's a possible explanation. is the amount of hours that they're working and not enough time at home with their kids and not enough attention with their kids. Because kids certainly need attention. It's a big part of their maturity and growing up with their family.
Right, good point.
Certainly our thoughts and prayers are with the Reed family. And I don't know, I mean, it's just something I would never want to imagine for anybody. And I don't know how exactly he'll go on, but I'm sure he'll figure out a way. And football is one way that it's a distraction. A lot of work could be a distraction for him.
The team definitely will.
And the team will show him support, I'm sure.
I think the crazy, very crazy fans of Philly will not, they're not going to do it. A lot of people have wanted him fired after last year, after the dream team not qualifying for the playoffs. But I think the city, we'll talk about that with Ari Bluestein, our good friend from Philly. He'll probably give us a good perspective on how Eagles fans will react.
Yes, so we'll have Ari later on in the week and talk about
Thursday, just to confirm.
Thursday to confirm, and we'll talk about that. Last story here before we go to break. Again, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, the Penn State University story won't exactly die out completely. There'll still be talk about it, and this is a part that is positive for Penn State.
That's important, Ari.
Yeah. The roster has some stability now, and they're confident that the team they have now is going to stay. That's what Coach Bill O'Brien said. He said very confident that the players who showed up practice early Monday morning are committed for the season. The team held its first formal workouts since the NCAA leveled strict sanctions against the program, including a 4-year bowl ban for the Jerry Sandusky child sex abuse scandal.
Yeah, though Ari, not to take being positive, but their best recruit left for USC. He decided not to stay.
Okay,
so just putting it out there.
Well, that was just a matter of time that certainly some players would bolt, and the best one probably hurts a little more than usual.
Right. Well, here's the question for you. Is it better to lose your best player or lose 8 good players? Interesting question.
Probably 8 good players.
Right. So, yeah, I'd agree. So I think in the long run, they've made a couple of videos that have circulated around the media and the television and everything saying, we're Penn State, we're going to stick together. None of this has to do with us, especially the incoming freshmen. We love the university, but, giving that whole spiel, whether they feel it or not, that's what they're doing right now, which is good. And at the end of the day, they play in front of, 110,000 fans. What does it matter if they don't play in the Papa John's Bowl? I mean, obviously they want to play in big BCS bowls, but when was the last time Penn State did play in a big BCS bowl? They haven't, is the answer. So what they're going to miss playing in a bowl game in a stadium half the size of theirs with not as many fans. I mean, playing at Penn State is one of the most exciting things in the world. How many arenas, sports places in the world are 110,000? Even Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're not that big. So, I mean, 110,000 people cheering for you no matter what. I think it's going to be exciting.
I still say I couldn't understand or fathom why more people wouldn't transfer. Now, the most notable transfer at this point is 1,200-yard rusher Silas Redd.
Right, to USC.
To USC, as Raphael alluded to.
Who's coming, interesting enough, they're coming off of their bowl ban. Remember, they had a bowl ban for all the stuff that went on
with
there
Reggie Bush.
With Reggie Bush, and there's stuff with the basketball program with that. So that's interesting that he's leaving from one, interesting stuff there. Pete Carroll left right when that happened, which is why I don't really respect him. Claims he wanted to be an NFL coach, but you didn't have to leave when the
S was hitting the fan.
Right, exactly. So
the chips were hitting the fan.
Not cool, Pete. Though he has done a pretty decent / solid job
with Seattle.
The Seahawks, but still not cool, Pete.
Also it was not cool of Coach Carroll was to rip Mark Sanchez when Sanchez left USC early. He ripped on him, and
right, that was
very classless, and childlike.
Very, I mean. He is a child, though. His personality, that's why the players love him. Cause
that's why he was so good in college.
One of them, And that's why he's so good at USC, because USC is kind of this playboy school, academically very good school, but still it's kind of this West Coast culture. Let's relax, come here. Reggie, you can go get cars. I mean, if anyone thinks he didn't know about it, they're crazy. You just have to read about his history and his career, and you know that he did. But all right, we should probably take a commercial break because we have a great Israeli lacrosse player on the other line. And very, very exciting interview. The Israeli lacrosse team has done an amazing job in the tournament in Europe. We'll kind of talk about the tournament in Europe, how lacrosse got to Israel, and much more.
Okay, that'll be on the other side. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain Seat Seat, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strange is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. We're in our final half hour of today's program, and we're going to dial up from the Israeli lacrosse, John Rasner. Want to take this time to remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab of IsraelSportsRadio.com. Great items such as hats, T-shirts, and much, much more. Again, that's the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Hi, am I speaking with John?
Hello?
Hi, John. You're live on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
We're doing great. It's a pleasure to have on now John Rasner of Israeli Lacrosse. And last summer, not sure if you're aware of this, but I had some members of the lacrosse team in studio for an interview. Matthew Markman was one of the gentlemen there. And at the time, the Jerusalem team was playing the Tel Aviv team at Kraft Family Stadium. Very entertaining game. I was witness to that event. And I want you to tell us what is the latest in lacrosse, what is the latest game that everyone can check out.
Sorry, the latest game that everyone can check out?
The next game, the next game coming up that people can check out.
Well, right now, the program's kind of on pause for the summer. The club team practices are going to begin in a few weeks from now, but we just held the national championship in Israel between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv about 2 weeks ago, and Jerusalem took home the hardware this time. So right now things are on pause, but the club teams are going to start up again in a few weeks.
Okay, so the club teams will start in a few weeks. And tell us, for people listening, if they want to join the certain clubs, what cities are they in? Have we see an expansion outside of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv?
So currently it's just Jerusalem and Tel Aviv where the club teams are practicing once a week, usually in the evenings. There are plans for next summer to begin teams outside of these two cities. We're looking at Haifa and Ashkelon as the next two cities, and we're really hoping for a league to establish itself over the next year and the following years all around Israel.
Okay, excellent. So lacrosse was a really great game to watch. It was my first lacrosse game I ever saw in person. And one of the things I find interesting about the game of lacrosse is the culture of it. It seems that it's a higher class game. A lot of people play it, go to Ivy League schools. They come from a similar background, seems like everyone who plays. So I want you to talk about that culture aspect of lacrosse that's generally seen on the East Coast of the United States and the objective and goal of bringing that here to Israel.
Yeah, lacrosse culture is very interesting. As you said, it's a sport that kind of established itself in the Ivy League universities of the U.S. and prep schools, prep high schools. But in recent years, we've seen the sport really expand all over the U.S., all over North America, to differing socioeconomic backgrounds. Which is really exciting for the sport because traditionally one of the problems with the sport is it's an expensive game to play. You have to buy all the equipment, the lacrosse sticks, the helmet, the pads, but all the added suppliers in the sport have brought the prices down and it's allowing it to spread more easily. It's an amazing game. The culture, playing for the Israeli team this summer and traveling around Europe, we got to see how lacrosse, played across different countries. These people are so much alike and so much in common that it's an amazing culture to be a part of.
Okay, and tell us, you mentioned Europe, tell us about that. The plans down the road is to have an Israeli national team take on the European contenders. Is that the goal at this point?
So that's actually what we did this summer. We played in the European Lacrosse Championships in Amsterdam at the end of June. The next goal, looking ahead, is the World Games in 2014 being held in Colorado.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Colorado. I'm curious also funding. How does that work? Obviously, the expenses to travel to Europe and Colorado. How is the funding for the Israeli lacrosse going at this point?
So at this point, we're largely paying our own way or doing a lot of fundraising. There have been sponsored programs to supplement the players' costs. For instance, we had a stick drive where we wanted to bring hundreds of sticks to Israel because getting the equipment here is so difficult. So instead of asking friends for monetary donations, one of the initiatives we started was to ask for donated lacrosse sticks, and for each one we had donated, we received a financial credit towards our participation. Otherwise, though, it's a lot of personal fundraising amongst friends and family. There are some corporate and corporate sponsors that got involved, but it's largely personally financed at this point.
Personally financed. So most of the people that are playing lacrosse for Israel, they have to have a certain love for it, I imagine, to not only put in all the work of the game, but then to use their personal finances as well.
Absolutely. This is a big commitment for everyone involved. People took time off from their jobs, from their studies, from their army service to be a part of everything we did this summer. But I think everyone felt it was worth it. It was an amazing experience.
Okay, and another question that we're getting is to participate in these games and playing for Israel. What's the level of competition like? Do they need previous experience, or can they just join and learn the sport?
Everyone's in Israel. Everyone's absolutely welcome to join in the practices. Where, the biggest thing we're trying to do is spread the sport in Israel. We ran a lot of youth clinics in different locations this summer, and the sport was really well received. So we're trying to really build the community within Israel, not just bring in outside players. With that said, we're trying to field competitive teams for international competition. So that was the case for Europe this summer, and looking ahead to the World Games in 2014, it's going to be a very competitive team that's put on the field. There will be tryouts for the international team that will compete.
Okay, and also at this point, as far as practices and the club level, is it mixed or is it only men at this point?
No, there's a women's team as well. Unfortunately, there's just fewer women playing the sport in Israel. So they practice in Tel Aviv when possible, but sometimes, depending on the numbers that come out to practice, the men and women will practice together, is playing fun games. But other times, the guys are definitely trying to work on their specific skills. So when the numbers allow it, they will have their own practices. So the girls' team is also just establishing itself right now as well.
Hi, John. This is Raphael. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to ask
No
you,
problem.
how did you get involved with lacrosse? Did you play college lacrosse, high school lacrosse? Who approached you? Just give us all those details.
Okay. So I first found out about Israel lacrosse. I play at McGill University in Montreal, Quebec.
Right.
So I had a teammate there who last summer was in Israel for his birthday trip and got involved with Israel lacrosse here. That when they had their first ever game, it was the national championship between Israel and Jerusalem, and I heard about his experience, and I'd been to Israel many times and I have strong connections to the country. So when I heard lacrosse was beginning in Israel, I immediately wanted to get involved. Also, Inside Lacrosse, one of the magazines in the lacrosse community, started publishing some articles on the Israeli program. So I got in touch with the director of Israel lacrosse, Scott Neese, started emailing, and last December, when I was here with my family, I was able to participate in the Hanukkah Bowl, which was held at Kraft Stadium in December, and that was kind of my first experience with the team, maybe a tryout for me, and I was invited to participate with the team this summer as we went to Europe and also to come help and spread the sport in Israel. In terms of my lacrosse experience, I've been playing since 5th grade and played through a nationally recognized high school, and then now I'm playing my last year at McGill University, college ball.
All right, last question before we let you go. Tell us contact information for people out there that are interested in being part of Israeli lacrosse. How can they find out and get involved?
Okay, there is a website where you can get contact information or just follow the team. That is www.lacrosse.co.il. So on there are news updates and also contact information to get involved with the team.
Okay, great stuff, John. We appreciate your time here on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio. It was a lot of fun, and we look forward to following the Israeli lacrosse team in the future.
Thanks for having me.
All right, be well out there.
Have a good one. Bye.
That was John Rasner, Israeli Lacrosse, and we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, from Las Vegas, Nevada, Amnon Cohen.
Also, he's in New York right now, I believe. Or he goes back and forth for business, but we'll see. We'll see if he's in New York. A big Mets fan, so we'll talk to him about a lot of big stuff.
Okay, great. So that's on the other side. It's Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts. Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strain is a revolutionary CC garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio, final segment of Monday's program. We're going to now dial up Amnon Cohen. We'll just straight up ask him if he's in Vegas or in New York. Either way, a big fan and follower of New York sports, so we're going to talk to him for the final segment of the program. Thank you for joining us and choosing us to be a part of your day. I want to remind everyone to check out the Israeli Sports Store, Israel Sports Radio Store. Hi, I speak with Amnon.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, this is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Our first question is, are you in Las Vegas, Nevada, or New York, New York?
I'm in New York right now.
Okay, very nice. So all the fans out there want to know that. We've got that confirmed at this point. A lot of sports to talk about in the Big Apple. Let's go to the Mets. The Mets had that hot start. David Wright was chasing 400 and now 12.5 back. And to my recollection, did not do a lot as far as the trade deadline was concerned. You would think that 12.5 back, they would be sellers, not buyers, might try to upgrade for next season. No real movement. And if the thought for some strange reason they were buyers at 12.5 back, they didn't make a move either. Why? Well, I mean, give us a reason, an explanation why the Mets were pretty docile as far as the trade movement was concerned.
Well, first of all, they're only 8 back of the second wild card
or 9
true.
back. There were
Not
eight at the time. But
oh, wait, this is Raphael. Only 8 back?
Well, they didn't buy. Obviously, they didn't buy because there was no reason to buy, and everybody wanted. There were 2 prospects they have, which is Zach Wheeler and Matt Harvey, which they were not willing to give up because they weren't close, and there was no reason for them to sell because I don't think they had anything to sell. Santana was injured. Jason Bay is not producing. I mean, he's had a terrible year, so I don't think there was anybody on the Mets that anybody wanted. Maybe Scott Hairston, but I don't think there was any. I don't think there's much demand for any of the pieces, the excess pieces that the Mets had. So they stood pat.
Amno, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, great. So go ahead, Raphael.
I said there was no reason for them to buy, and there was nothing that they had that many of the teams wanted. I don't think they had many valuable excess pieces to sell.
And I don't think we've had you on since the notorious Johan Santana no-hitter we had on. Bruce Jacobs, who's a huge Mets fan and a talk show host out in New York. But what were your thoughts? Did you watch that game? How amazing was that to see Johan look like vintage Johan?
It was. I mean, for long-suffering Mets fans, it was. I guess the best moment in the past since the 2000 World Series. But yeah, we finally had a moment of glory. Even though we got a nice call from the third base umpire, but it was nice to get one of those once in a while.
Very close call. I watched the clips, and I'm not going to say my opinion, but maybe you can figure it out.
No, it was definitely a fair ball, but we'll take it. It's okay.
Sometimes that's the way it goes with no-hitters at perfect games. You get a break or two from the umpire or the scorekeeper, and that's what happened there with Johan's marvelous achievement. Now, let's go over to...
Right. Sometimes you get the opposite, like Galarraga, where you had a perfect game that got blown by the umpire.
Right.
It goes both ways.
It goes both ways. I think at the end of the day, for the most part, it evens out. I was a high school teacher named Mr. Silvernair who brought up bad calls in comparison to speeding tickets, that you don't get the speeding ticket when you do deserve it, but you get the speeding ticket when you don't deserve it, and then it kind of evens out. So that's why I have a feeling about bad calls. That's why when fans want to complain about bad calls, first of all, they tend to only complain when it's against their team, and they have to realize that overall it pretty much evens out for the most part. Now, let's go over to let's go over to the big ballpark in the Bronx. The Yankees acquire Ichiro Suzuki. Great move there because he has Hall of Fame credentials and numbers but never played in the World Series. As I mentioned on this program before, ironically, the closest he got to the World Series was in 2001 when the Mariners lost in 5 games to the Yankees. That was that great 116-win team with Boone and company. Now they have Ichiro. How much does Ichiro have left in the tank to help the Yankees win a 28th World Series title?
Obviously, he brings a lot of experience and being a veteran, and he knows how to play. He knows how to win. He knows how to get on base. He knows how to score runs. But I don't think hitting was what the Yankees lacked. I think at the end of the day, they're obviously going to make a postseason, but just like in the past postseasons when they got into short series, their Achilles heel was the starting pitching. So I think it's going to come down to, what's their starting pitcher at the pitching rotation is at the end of the year. They'll always score enough runs. I don't think, I think he adds a dimension to the team, some speed, some defense, but I don't think their issue was scoring runs.
So is this?
I think the issue.
Well, is this more than done for to bring some attention to the Yankees? I mean, they figure you have enough of that. What would be the reason to bring Ichiro if there wasn't this big need for them?
I think the combination of Jones and Ibanez and the fact that Gardner's out for the year. I think they needed some depth and to make sure that these guys are up there in age, and they wanted to make sure they had some insurance in case one of these guys got injured or kind of ran out of gas. And then also the Yankees, you get the best. It's marketing. I mean, the Yankees are great for that, and you get the best Japanese player of all time to play in New York City. I think it's great. I think it's the opposite of what the Dolans did when they let Jeremy Lin go.
Right.
You know, this is the opposite. This is great for the Big Apple.
Yeah. Interesting point there, Unknown.
They might sell one or two more jerseys, I think, for the New York Yankees by bringing Ichiro. So I think it's a great move. And also, as a personal level, he was one of my favorite ball players. It still is one of my favorite because didn't take steroids, didn't play for the long ball. He got hit after hit after hit. He always led the league in at-bats, it seemed like. A couple of years led the league in hits. Has the record for most hits in a season. Has a great arm, or at least had a great arm, a little bit past his prime now. Fast, stole bases, defended well. So he has never gone to the World Series as of yet. This is his best chance with the Yankees. So I certainly hope he can get that accomplished. The Yankees 6.5 ahead of the Orioles in the American League East. Your thoughts on the American League East? You have 5 teams there. 2 teams are right at 500. Is the American League East the best division in Major League Baseball?
No, I don't think it is. I think the best division in Major League Baseball is the American League West.
I was about to say it, yes.
And I think the Yankees will be the only team from the American League East in the postseason.
Wow.
Boston, I mean, they've had their problems between Valentine and losing Euclid and their starting rotation and the injuries and Crawford. Baltimore, kind of smoke and mirrors, 6.5 games back. I've watched a lot of Baltimore games this year, and I still don't know how they win. So I think it's the Yankees. The Yankees will win it going away, and I think there'll be 2 teams from the American League West in the postseason and 2 teams from the American League Central.
Let's go to the American League West because the best trade probably, I mean, you could argue Cabrera going to the Dodgers was the best as far as value that the Dodgers received, but the Angels getting Greinke, a former Cy Young winner, might push them over the edge. Now, they're 6 games back of the Rangers. I want to get your opinion about not the wild card, but the West Division. Can the Angels realistically get it at 6 games back?
It's a lot. 6 games is a lot with 2 months to go, and I think Texas kind of rode. They had a streak where they couldn't score runs, and they had a streak there where they lost a bunch in a row, and they lost their big lead, and they weren't hitting. And I think they got over the hump. I think they lost the first 2 games in that series last week, and then they came back from 6-2 or whatever it was. Came back in the 9th inning or in the 10th inning and scored 3 runs in the bottom of the inning to win the game. I think they're kind of over the hump. I think they're hitting again. It's going to be hard to make up 6 teams on the Rangers, 6 games on the Rangers, and the Rangers also added Ryan Dempster. They kind of aborted that Roy Oswalt experiment, and they sent him to the bullpen. So I think they kind of righted the ship. Oswalt didn't give him anything. Had like a 7 ERA. I think it's going to be tough. I think the Angels will be a wild card. They'll get by Oakland, but I think they might be just Texas, but it's hard to make up 6 games.
Now, let's go out now to the West Division, the other league, the National League. Giants and Dodgers in a great pennant race out there. Half a game between those 2 squads. As I mentioned, Dodgers get Cabrera from the Miami Marlins. Who do you like to take it away? Only a couple of months left of the season. September is going to get here before you know it, and we're going to get in the final stretch. So give us your prediction as we have you on the line now of Giants or Dodgers in the National League West.
All right. Don't forget about Arizona, the 4 games back. But I think, and I when you had me on the beginning of the year, I said Texas and Arizona, but I'll stick with Texas. But I think Arizona doesn't have the goods this year. As a
Diamondbacks fan, I am sad to hear that, but it is probably true. I'm not so sold on this team, and I don't think they did enough in the trade deadline to make some moves and get it done. But go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I think Justin Upton, I mean, nobody knows what happened to him this year, but he's the difference between Arizona being 4 games back and being in division leader. He's just had a terrible year, hasn't hit at all, and and their closer this year, J.J. Putz, had a great year last year. I mean, he's been terrible. I mean, at least the first half of the season, he was terrible. It's kind of got a good stretch of games the last month or so. But, without Justin Upton, being somewhere near he was last year, they have no chance. I actually think the Hanley Ramirez is the biggest question. He stopped hitting. He wasn't trying. I think they traded him not for the lack of hitting. I don't think they thought that he was trying that hard. He moved to a new position. He wasn't happy. If Ramirez hits, if you have Kemp, Ethier, Ramirez, then the Dodgers are a better team than the Giants. They have the pitching is probably equal, and without the closer, I think the Dodgers are a better team. They kind of got to this point the entire season with, you could also say, smoke and mirrors, because Kemp was hurt most of the year. Ethier was hurt. They didn't have, there was a point where they had Bobby Abreu, who's since been released as their third place hitter for a month or so, and they got by. I mean, they won games, and they faded for a while, but now they're half a game back, and I think they're going to be the favorite at this point now that they have everybody healthy, and Matt Kemp is basically unstoppable.
By the way, I need to make a correction. I said Cabrera. I meant to say Ramirez, referring to Hanley Ramirez. I apologize about that. Last question before we let you go, and this question regards the National League East back there. This is Chipper Jones' last season, first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. But as a Mets fan, can you root for Chipper to go out in a blaze of glory, or do you want to see him fall and miss the postseason?
I'm actually rooting for the Braves. I mean, I've hated the Braves, my whole life. But I'm actually rooting for them. I think they're a better team not a better team. I think they have more experience, and they kind of improved their rotation. Ben Sheets came out of nowhere. He's pitching great, and they got Mahone from the Cubs, who's a sinker ball pitcher who's pitching well. And I think they kind of upgraded their staff, and I think they have more experience. And Washington's probably a year away or 2 years away, and I think they'll be great. I think they're kind of a little bit. They weren't expected to be here. I think they're going to have a hard time holding on to this lead. I think Atlanta, with their bullpen, which is starting to be lights out again, is probably the best team in the East.
Yeah, no, Amnon, great point about Ben Sheets. Used to be probably one of the best pitchers in baseball back in the day when there was a battle with Johan and Roy Halladay in the East with Oakland. So it's great to see him so successful. He tried to come back with other teams, and it didn't work out, and he kept having more and more surgeries. So good for Ben Sheets. It's a great story.
Yeah, unbelievable. And he's pitching great. It's really crazy. And he's not, they say, I think he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries, and they actually say he's throwing harder than before.
It shows that can happen. There's so many different stories. I'm a diehard Blue Jay fan my whole life. B.J. Ryan, who had his Tommy John with us, we signed him to, I believe, a 4-year, $44 million deal, $11 million a year, the highest a catcher ever got behind, or even might have even been more than Mariano at the time. It was 7 years ago, and he had Tommy John and never was able to come back. There's so many stories, but it's great to see that he was able to come back and be great and potentially help a Braves team make a nice postseason run.
Yes, Didi. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
And we'll be happy as Mets fans that Chipper retires, because he's killed us for 16 or 18 years.
Well, I'd say in the 1999 season, Chipper Jones won the MVP in the 1999 season, and he pretty much did that in one series against the Mets because he was spectacular, and they gave it to him, I think, based on that series. But that was a lot of fun back in the glory days of baseball, as I like to say, because more in my youth.
The glory days of baseball. Interesting.
That's what I like to call the late 90s. And we lost Amnon there.
So let us just call him back, say goodbye.
Yes. So
and after that, we have an amazing show tomorrow. All right, 3-hour special, very, very exciting show.
Okay, great. So we'll make that announcement in a moment. Just want to say goodbye to Amnon here, and want to before we close the show, of course, remind everyone to check out the store by clicking on the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, books, candles, and much, much more. Again, that's the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. If we don't get in touch with Amnon, we'll write him a message and thank him. Amnon, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, looks like we lost you there. We just wanted to give you a proper goodbye. Thank you for being on the program on Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com, and we'll have to do it again in the future.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, be well out there.
Amnon. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks, bye.
that was Amnon Cohen, and we're now going to end the program and thank all the guests who are on. But before we do that, let's give a preview for tomorrow's show.
Yeah, tomorrow's show is a 3-hour show starting at the Old Louis Live time of 5 p.m., 10 a.m. local time, and David Wiseman will be joining us. He, of course, is in charge of the Follow Team Olympics. We'll have a better connection this time, Ari, because we'll have him on the landline.
Excellent.
So I know you're excited about the connection.
Yes.
That's very important for you.
Sure.
And for me. Then we will call, this is probably our biggest guest in Israeli politics or in Israel. We will be calling Avital Leibovitz, who is an IDF spokesperson. She's very, very high up. I think she's second in command after the general. So very exciting stuff. We're going to talk to her about last night's attack on the south, on the border. A lot of exciting stuff happened there. Talk to her about the rockets, why it's not reported in the Western media, in the States, Britain, etc. Gregory Sutton from Goal.com. Clonari Carter tomorrow. Zoel Cadarnes, who is a Barcelona writer. So tomorrow's a big soccer show. And Anne Liggery, we'll have to make sure that's the correct pronunciation, but a very well-known journalist, broadcaster. It's a really cool website. Everyone should check it out. It's ANNLIGOURI.com. Very, very big show. And just to give some people a sense of the rest of the week, Chaim Bloom, director of baseball operations for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Very big,
wow,
very big guest for us. He told us he couldn't speak until after the trade deadline, so the trade deadline is over. Andy May, very well-known soccer guest, analyst from England, very amazing radio voice. Kind of, Ari, I think he'll be interested in he has kind of a Dan Schulman radio voice.
Oh, great. Okay,
so that'll
excellent.
be fun. Dan Schlossberg, who's a very well-known baseball author, has written something like 1 million books. And Thursday, I'll leave as a tease for Wednesday.
Okay, but it's a great show, I'm sure. So make sure to check out
5
Wednesday
p.m. tomorrow.
5 p.m. tomorrow.
3 hours spectacular. Probably our best show backs in August.
Okay, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And we want to now thank everyone who came on the program tonight.
Right.
Of course, we had the editor-in-chief from the Fischler Report.
Yeah, Jordan Schramm, who was just talking about the Rangers. Ari and him were talking about the new collective bargaining agreement. He's actually told us what he was going there later today, Ari?
Yes, so
right.
he'll be going to the NHL offices, and he'll be talking about that. So that will be good stuff. And also he mentioned the Phoenix Coyotes about their investment group. So it looks like the team's going to stay in Phoenix. I'm not going to call that a miracle, but it was very, very unlikely that was going to happen. So we're very happy about that. Then we had Cub Bunin, who was originally from ESPN Denver. He is now with TD, which is kind of like the Slam equivalent of the NFL. He is with that, still with Slam Magazine.
Right, and KOA in Denver, AM, home of the Broncos and the Rockies.
Yes, so good stuff there from Cub. Then we had a guest on from Israeli lacrosse,
John Raffner.
Yes,
they talk about what they've accomplished, how they're growing, and all that good stuff.
And then to wrap things up, we had Amnon Cohen, who is a big Mets and Yankees fan, even though he generally resides in Las Vegas. But it was great to have him on and talk about Mets and Yankees and all that good stuff.
Right, he knows his stuff.
Yes, he does.
Very impressed.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're going to end the show again. Stay tuned tomorrow night at 5 p.m. for a 3-hour special of some great guests and great sports stuff. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.